Welcome to Westmoreland Community Connections, a look at issues and happenings on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. Here now is your host, Chad Amond, President and CEO of the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce.
Hello and welcome to Westmoreland Community Connections. I'm your host, President and CEO of the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce, Chad Amond. I am excited today to have on Michelle Long. Michelle is the Fair Secretary for the Westmoreland Fair. Michelle, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, let's kick it off with a little bit of your background. Where did you grow up? Did you grow up in Westmoreland County? How are you connected with the Westmoreland Fair?
I grew up in Westmoreland County. I graduated from Mount Pleasant High School in 19...
Yeah, I graduated that same year.
Did you?
Yeah.
And then I moved out of the county for a little bit whenever I was married, and then I moved back after being away for about 4 or 5 years. And how I got involved with the Westmoreland Fair is I answered a blind ad in the newspaper for a secretary's position.
Wow.
And here I am 10 years later.
Yeah, right. Wow. That's the way that it happens, right?
Yes.
That's
it's always weird.
You've been with the fair for
this will be my 10th year.
10th year. Well,
yep.
and I was thinking before I welcomed you to the show, and I was thinking, wow, it's been we celebrated 60 years just a couple of years ago. Well, obviously 4 years ago, because as one of my roles with the chamber, we came out and presented a plaque to the fair for celebrating their 60th year. But now it's been 4 years. We're celebrating 64 years of the fair being in existence. Tell the listeners a little bit about how the fair has been around for 64 years and the history that is putting into the fair.
Well, the fair started in 1954. It was incorporated as the Westmoreland Recreational Fair Association, Agricultural Fair and Recreation Association. It was organized by a group of local farmers and agricultural businessmen who wanted to have a place to showcase the state's number one industry, which is agriculture.
Right.
And they came up with doing a fair. Now, the original plans, which we have just recently found, the original blueprints, the designs that they had for the fairgrounds, was to have tennis courts and a drive-in theater and an ice cream place and basketball courts and soccer fields and baseball fields. They had this huge plan, but we're still working on getting the buildings for the animals and everything put together. But they started that. The first fair was held for 3 days at Idlewild Park. They did Idlewild for 2 years, and then in 1957 they purchased the farm where we are currently at, which is 173 acres, and we've been there since 1957.
Wow. Well, what is the primary focus and the mission of the fair?
The primary focus and mission of the Westmoreland Fair is to educate the general public about agriculture and how it is intertwined in our life, more so now than ever before, because so many people have gotten away from agriculture. When the fair first started, there were quite a number of family farms in the area and in Westmoreland County, and now those family farms are sadly disappearing quite fast. The local dairy farmers especially, they are getting hit quite hard in recent years. They are receiving milk prices that are the same prices that they received for milk in 1970.
Right.
Which is kind of hard to live on.
Yeah.
So a lot of family farms are unfortunately.
Why is that? I mean, is there? that's probably a different show.
Yeah, it's a different show, and a lot of the farmers would be, the main ones to talk about it. But the main culprit is Walmart. They are increasing in size and deciding that instead of dealing with dairy producers that deal with local dairy farms, they are going to start their own farms, their own huge dairy farms, and get their own milk to cut out the middleman, which is our local dairy farmers.
So that's obviously impacting our economy here in Westmoreland County, which is I always say Westmoreland County is a little bit country and a little bit rock and roll, because if you live in the North Huntington and the Murraysville area,
that's
you probably
the rock and roll part.
Yeah, that's the rock and roll. You're more closely connected to the city of Pittsburgh, but if you're living in Derry Township or Mount Pleasant, like you did and I lived in Derry, we have a lot of farming communities, and but that's a critical issue with the Westmoreland Fair.
Yes.
Let's get back into the little bit more of the fair. How is this facilitated? I mean, it's an 8 or 9 day?
It's a 9-day event.
9-day event. Mm-hmm. And how many people are on your staff?
Well, we have 21 directors that are volunteers, that serve as facilitate making decisions throughout the year and maintaining the grounds and making sure the buildings are upkept and everything. And then during the week of the fair, we have 300 volunteer superintendents that help us get the buildings ready, accept in the entry exhibits to be judged, help set up the barns for the livestock, make sure everybody has an assigned place and knows where to go and there's on hand to answer questions. But the paid staff is just myself and a head maintenance person and 2 people in the entry office to take entries. And they're here they're part-time.
So you don't work 24/7, you work 25/8, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, right. Well,
especially during the week of the fair.
I can imagine.
I tell everybody that, for the public, the fair is 9 days, but for those behind the scenes, it's 15.
Right.
Because our day starts at 7 a.m. the Monday before and doesn't stop until the day after the fair. I mean, we're working 15 days of 18 hours each day.
One of the things that with my position with the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce that I have noticed, and we are not affiliated with the county. Well, we are affiliated with the county, but we do not get county funding or anything like that. We have strong relationships, but we're not technically affiliated with the county. One of the things that I've noticed over the years that there is not the word county in Westmoreland Fair, and some of the other counties, like the Fayette County Fair, I mean, which is famous with the Clark's song, right? The Fayette County Fair is affiliated with the county, correct?
Yes.
Tell the listeners a little bit about that.
Well, there's 109 fairs in the state of Pennsylvania, and Westmoreland is one of the few fairs that is privately owned. We do not have any affiliation with the county. We are not in their budget, so we do not receive any money for funding or upkeep of the buildings or anything like that. The money that we get for upkeep is raised from the fair through admissions, along with all the other additional expenses, the events that are held on throughout the grounds throughout the year, as well as any fundraiser events that we do through the summer. But like you were saying, Fayette, Washington, those are both county affiliated. I believe Indiana is also affiliated with their county government. But I shouldn't say small fairs like Westmoreland because we're one of the larger fairs, but small fairs like Dawson Grange, Sewickley Grange, Derry Township Fair, none of those are affiliated with the counties that they're in either. They're privately owned, so all the money that they raise to put on their fair, like Westmoreland, is done throughout the year with fundraisers, admission to the fair,
and sponsorships.
Stuff
like that. You're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Hometown Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. I'm your host, Chad Amond, president of the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce. Our guest today is Westmoreland Fair Secretary, Michelle Long. Michelle, I know that there are super fun facts about the fair. Let's share some of those with the listeners.
Oh, super fun facts. Well, one is that there was actually an air show held at the fairgrounds. I don't have the year.
Okay.
And I wanted proof because I didn't believe it myself. But yeah, there was an air show held at the fairgrounds at some point in time in the very beginning. So probably between 1957 and 1963 is the best guess I can get from the directors. It was performed over the fairgrounds, much like the one that was just performed with the Thunderbirds. But we didn't have the Thunderbirds back then.
Right.
Also, in 1990, admission to the fair was $3.50. In today, the admission is $7, and that is what it was raised to back in 2003.
Right.
So the directors have done an awesome job at keeping it at 2003 prices so that everybody can come out and enjoy more often.
If we calculated inflation from, what did you say that was $3.50?
1990 it was $3.50.
I'm guessing if you calculate inflation, that would have probably been lower today than it was in 1990.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. We used to have car shows held at the fairgrounds. A season pass in 1962 was $4.
Wow.
And in 1995, llamas appeared for the first time at any fair to be judged and exhibited. We are the home for Overly's Country Christmas. And Blake Shelton was the last major national act performer that we could afford to bring in. And that was back in 2007. And we had 12,000 people on the grounds between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. in 2010 on the last Friday.
6 p.m. and 10 p.m.
Yeah.
Wow.
So in 4 hours, we had 12,000 people on the grounds.
That's a big number. Right. Well, let's talk about this year's fair. Mm-hmm. What is the theme for this year's fair?
Oh, this year's fair theme is a tongue twister. It is farms, family, fairs equals fun.
Farms, families, fairs equals fun.
Yes.
Okay. So describe that. What that is going to facilitate with the rest of the fair.
We're just trying to tie in how farms affect families.
Okay.
Like I was saying earlier, we've gotten away from people understanding how much agriculture influences their life. I always tell people that, they don't realize, but if we take agriculture away, they will be drinking water, standing in the middle of the field butt naked, with no buildings to run into and hide, because everything came from a farm somewhere to get us clothing and food and a building, furniture, a house, even the box that your pizza is delivered in.
Well, one of my board chairs often says, "You don't have anything unless you make it, mine it, or farm it." And
exactly,
and farming it is obviously critical. And how are you going to educate the public? Are there going to be stands, or are there going to be speeches, or are you just going to make sure that you're connecting with the visitors and make sure that
we're going to make sure that we connect with the visitors? We found that connecting with the visitors one-on-one is more influential than having someone stand on a stage and do a presentation where they can get bored and get up and walk away. One-on-one interactions is the most important way, so that we can get all of their questions and their misconceptions answered and the myths disposed of, so that people really do truly get a working knowledge of what agriculture is and how it goes from the farm to their dinner plate.
When we return, we're going to talk about a little bit of the events that are going to occur at this year's fair. From August 17th to the 25th, you're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Hometown Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. We'll be right back after these messages.
This is Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. If you have a suggestion for a topic, or if your nonprofit organization would like to be featured on this program, call us during regular business hours at 724-216-1200.
Welcome back. You're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Hometown Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. I'm your host, Chad Amond, president of the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce. Our guest today is Michelle Long. Michelle is the fair secretary for the Westmoreland Fair. If you want to jump on to the website, it's westmorelandfair.com, or you can call the office at 724-423-5005. Michelle, when we left, we were talking about more of the history of the fair, and then we talked about the theme of the fair this year, which is going to be farms, families, fairs, and fun. And so how is that fun going to be connected? So I think that we need to talk about a little bit of the events that are going to be held and the exhibitors.
Sure.
And so lead us through that.
Well, we have we're going to have probably, going by last year's totals, we had about 1,100 exhibitors between 4-H, FFA, and open class that bring in their baked goods, canned goods, their livestock that they've raised through the year. And they'll be exhibiting them and getting them judged. Everything. If you can't find something to enter in the fair, you're not looking hard enough.
Okay.
Is what I always say.
So what can be entered into the fair?
You can enter in apple pie, chocolate cake,
Okay.
eggs that your chickens lay. You can enter Afghans, quilts. Your kids can enter in Lego projects. They can enter in wood building projects that they make at Lowe's or Home Depot. They can enter in latch hook rugs and cookies that they've made. There's 200 classes in probably each of the categories.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Like I said, there's a lot that you can pick from. If you can't find something to enter, you're not looking hard enough.
So who can enter? I mean, if I'm not a farmer, can I still enter my apple pie?
You sure can.
Okay, so my grandma makes the best. My grandma who passed, I have the recipe. It's the best apple pie ever.
Grandma's pies are always the best.
Yeah, right.
Especially if you can get the recipe handed down completely.
Yeah.
Because I know the recipes my gram gave me, there was always an ingredient or two missing.
Right.
And she wouldn't tell us until after we made it and gave it to her to taste test. And was like, oh, you forgot. Well, you didn't tell me that.
So that's probably something that maybe the general public isn't aware of, that if you don't own a farm, you can still enter into the contests and the programs.
The only thing that is restricted is 4-H and FFA. Those are restricted to the kids in Westmoreland County that are in those programs. If you want to enter something and if your kid's not in 4-H, or if you're over 18, and you don't even have to live in Westmoreland County to enter something in the open class.
Okay.
You can live in the state of Pennsylvania or West Virginia or Ohio. You just have to drive it over. You can enter it in the open class and wait to see how you do against everybody else.
Well, we talked about some of the history of the fair, and to your credit, and to the credit of the volunteer directors and the volunteer superintendents, change is necessary. You can't keep it all the same every year, because it will get boring, right?
Right.
So you had Blake Shelton years ago, and you had different things. But what are some of the new contests that are going to happen this year?
Well, one of the things that's new but old at the same time, is the apple pie and chocolate cake showdown. Basically, with those two, we're just doing them. It's the same contest, but we're doing them a little different in the fact that everybody can come watch the judges taste all of the apple pies. And then they'll have an opportunity to do the same taste testing as the judges, and then the winners will be announced, and then you can see if you were thinking in the same lines as the judges.
So how many? If I'm going to cook Grandma's apple pie, how many apple pies do I have to bring?
You just have to bring one.
Oh, really? Just one?
Just
how do you get to be the judge for the apple pie and the chocolate cake? That's like a dream job, right?
Yeah, you have to have connections.
Oh, okay.
If you really want that. I'll talk about it later.
All right. Well, that's,
we'll hook you up.
well, I'm blown away now. Right. What are some of the other new contests that are going to happen?
One of the new contests is for the kids. Thanks to Chevron, they are sponsoring our STEM Lego contest, which kids 19 and under can create a STEM project, and STEM stands for science, engineering, technology, and mathematics. It has to be a workable Lego project. It cannot be a Lego STEM project kit because Lego does sell those. It has to be an original idea. It has to be functioning and working, does what it's supposed to do, and they can enter that. And first place gets $60, second place is $40, third place is $20.
Sweet. Well, and if you're not on the side of the apple pie or the chocolate cake, and I can't imagine why you wouldn't be, but if you're not on the side of the STEM program or building Legos for the kids, what are the other entertainment factors that are going to be presented at the fair?
Oh, we have different events going on in our show arena as well as our grandstand each night. The first Monday and Friday we have monster trucks. Then we have a demo derby. Then we have the Raftersy Rodeo, which those 4 events are going to be APRA sanctioned, which is one level below the Professional Bull Riders Association, from my understanding. And then Tuesday we have the farm tractor pulls. Wednesday we have another round of demos. Thursday we have the 4x4 truck and the mini mod tractor pulls. Friday we have the hot tractors.
Okay.
And then Saturday we have the final round of demo derbies.
I heard through a grapevine that there is going to be helicopter rides.
Yes. This year we're having helicopter rides.
Tell us about
that. 5
to
6 minute ride.
Okay.
And if you ever wanted to see the fair from above, now's your chance.
Wow.
And they'll just circle around the grounds and around the neighborhood of the fair and then land again, and it's $40 a person.
Okay.
Depending on the calculated weight that they have to take into consideration for the trips, kids 2 and under can ride on an adult's lap.
Okay.
So it's just...
So you're going to have one of those scales out there, like...
yeah, I'm not getting on it. They're going to take my word for it.
Out at Idlewild, they have to weigh you before you get on the roller coaster, and I was a little embarrassed about that.
Yeah, my daughter wanted me to go ziplining at the zoo yesterday until I saw the scale, and I'm like, yeah, mommy's not doing that.
Right. Well, but it sounds like it's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I'm excited.
You're gonna get
I've always wanted to see the fair from above. So
right. Well, let's talk about some of the performances. I understand that there are some shows that are going to be in the arena, and
yeah, we have some shows planned awesome for the show arena. The first Friday night, we're gonna crown our new queen, and on Saturday, for the first time, we're going to crown a king of the Westmoreland Fair. Sunday, we have David Koynock. He is an acoustic guitar player who plays a lot of music that everybody will sing and dance to.
Okay.
I found myself, whenever I saw him perform, I found myself singing along. And I'm not one to sing in public. And then on Monday, we have the judging of the market steers. Tuesday, we have East Coast Turnaround, along with fireworks that evening. Wednesday, we have the all-infamous Senior Bingo. And then we have, followed by the Dan and Gala musical show, and then the Rabbit Agility Contest.
Rabbit Agility Contest.
Yes.
Well, you gotta tell me what that is.
Well, you know, dog agility contests where they have little jumps for the dogs to jump over. Yeah. Well, rabbits are natural jumpers, so we set up they set up a course, and the rabbits have 5 or 6 different height jumps to jump over, and it's whichever bunny jumps it the fastest gets the ribbon.
Well, you talked about the Queen contest, and I know that's been something that has probably existed since 1954 back
Correct.
in the day, right? you're going to have a king contest.
Yep.
And so how does somebody apply for that?
Well, they have to represent a 4-H club or an agricultural organization like the Rabbit Club or the Beekeepers Association, and be involved in beekeeping or have rabbits. And they can compete to be a king. They have to be 14 years of age, and they can't turn 18 until after the fair's over. So 14 to 17. And they can call me for an application as long as they get it into me by Wednesday.
Okay, nice. Well, let's get down to the critical component. This is, I love going to the fair. I go every year. We take the family out every year, and we walk around and see the horses and the other animals. But one of the reasons why we're going out is to get the food, right?
Of course.
The food is that's
the ultimate.
That's right. But what is going to be new this year, and what should people look for this year?
Well, we always have the Almer's sausage and Galiffa's pizza and Royal's pizza, and they tend to surprise us with new spins on their menu. Mm-hmm. So they always hold that back for us until we get there, until they arrive on site, and then it's like, here, try this. But I do know Galiffa's is going to have a seafood pizza.
Okay. That's healthy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Now, with food during Fair Week, what everybody has to understand is there's no calories, no cholesterol, no trans fat. It's all healthy.
Right. That's...
So you don't have to worry about what you eat or watching what you eat. It doesn't matter because it's all healthy for you.
Right. That's a primary promotion.
Exactly.
Right? Well, I think that we need to kick into the people that support and sponsor the fair.
Yes.
Obviously, that is one of the things that keeps the fair going each year.
Yes.
So recognize some of the key sponsors and tell the listeners where they can go on your site to recognize the other sponsors for the fair.
Some of the key sponsors are People's. Of course, they are the naming sponsor of the grandstand. The money that we receive from them each year goes to improving and upkeep of the grandstand. Armstrong Cable, of course, they are providing free Wi-Fi. They've been always amazing and awesome in supporting the fair. They always come in and say, okay, what do you need us to do this year? Mm-hmm. Artman Equipment, West Central Equipment, they provide staff like myself and directors with gators to drive around during the week of the fair. Silvis Landscaping has a gorgeous landscaped area where we have all the radio stations do their live broadcasts from. And then, of course, all the radio stations with their support on all levels. Excella Health is the naming sponsor of the show arena this year. Their money has gone towards the updating and improving of the stage and the sound and the lighting, and the stage in the show arena it looks amazing.
Right.
It looks absolutely amazing with the upgrades that have been done. So, and all the rest of the sponsors can be found on our website under the sponsors, and I post recognition of the sponsors throughout leading up to the fair, and they can go onto the website. All they have to do is click on their logo.
There are a ton of sponsors and supporters of the fair, and one of them is Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB.
Yes.
That's a I have to announce that because
of course, and they're
we're on the
extremely
show.
important this year because they took over Senior Day.
Well,
so we got to keep Senior Bingo, so nobody is going to get upset that we don't have bingo.
Nice. Well, Michelle Long, Fair Secretary. Michelle, give the listeners the one last the recruitment for them coming to the fair. It's going to be Friday. It's going to kick off on Friday, August 17th, and it's going to end on Saturday, August 25th. Tell them how they can come out to the Westmoreland Fair.
The gates open on the 18th through the 25th at 10 a.m. On the 17th, we open at 4 p.m. We're open to 11 p.m. every single night of the fair. It's $7 admission, and that includes parking, the exhibit buildings, the commercial buildings, and the rides. And depending on the night in the grandstand will depend on the price to get into the grandstand there. But it's a lot of fun and a good way to get back in touch with your neighbors before all the kids go off to school.
And there's apple pie and chocolate cake.
And there's apple pie and chocolate cake.
Right.
And it's all fat-free.
Absolutely. Michelle Long, thank you very much for being on Westmoreland Community Connections. If you want to learn more about the Westmoreland Fair, you can jump onto their website at westmorelandfair.com or call their office at 724-423-5005. Michelle, thanks very much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
You've been listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Hometown Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. Join us next week, same time, same place, for another edition of Westmoreland Community Connections. Thanks for listening, everyone.
This has been Westmoreland Community Connections, a look at issues and happenings in and around Westmoreland County. Join us again next week on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB.